Whose planet was it? How did it become so dangerous? Those are the questions the cartoon never asked. For everyone who grew up in the 80s, there was one certainty. Mumm-Ra was the villain, the mummy in the pyramid, the red eyes in the dark. That's what Rankin Bass showed you every day of the week. But what nobody tells you about Mumm-Ra is that he was already there. The ThunderCats showed up uninvited. And when you look at it from his side, Mumm-Ra wasn't the villain of Third Earth. He was the one defending it. Thundera exploded, an entire planet consumed by fire, its people scattered across the cosmos in fragile ships. The ThunderCats survived, but they lost everything. Their world, their home, their kingdom. And so they wandered through space, searching for somewhere to land. They found Third Earth, a green, quiet world with forests and rivers and deserts and mountains, populated by small, peaceful communities. The Burbles in their robotic villages, the Wallows in their treetop homes, the Bolkins in the forests, the warrior maidens in their mountain stronghold. Third Earth was already occupied. It had been for thousands of years, and nothing had threatened that peace, not until the ships arrived. And deep in the desert, in a structure older than any civilization on the planet, something else was already there. A black pyramid, massive, silent, ancient, and inside it, entombed in a sarcophagus, surrounded by cauldrons of fire and the statues of beings far more powerful than anything Third Earth had ever known. Mumm-Ra, the ever-living, slept. Not hiding, not plotting, just existing on a planet that was already his. And when you understand who Mumm-Ra really was, the story gets even heavier. The series leaves clues scattered throughout that point to a truth the cartoon never says out loud. Third Earth is not just some random planet in the cosmos. Third Earth is Earth, which means Mumm-Ra wasn't just defending a planet. He was defending humanity's original home, a home that humans themselves had almost entirely abandoned or forgotten. And Mumm-Ra was one of the last original inhabitants of that world, one of the few beings still there from the very beginning. While entire civilizations rose and collapsed around him, while species from across the universe arrived and rebuilt that planet in their own image, he remained. In his pyramid, on his planet, in his home, and the beings who showed up to protect it, they came from somewhere else entirely. But two alien armies were about to change that forever, and the one being who was already there became the villain of the story. Go back and watch the original series. Really watch it. Not as a kid who knows the ThunderCats are the heroes, but as someone asking a simple question. Who enters whose home first? In episode after episode, the pattern is the same. The ThunderCats discover the Black Pyramid. They explore it. They trespass inside. Mumm-Ra is awakened by their presence. He rises from his sarcophagus, transforms, and fights back. He reacts. He never initiates. Mumm-Ra, the supposedly ultimate evil, the being of unlimited power, never once marches to Cat's lair unprovoked. He never seeks the ThunderCats out on their territory first. He stays in his pyramid, century after century, and only emerges when alien invaders force him to. The mutants come to him, begging for help. He never invited them. He never recruited them. They showed up at his door, bringing their intergalactic war with them, and Mumm-Ra became the weapon they pointed at their enemies. So who actually made Third Earth more dangerous? The ancient being who slept in his pyramid for millennia? Or the two alien armies that turned a peaceful planet into a battlefield the moment they arrived? Even the episodes where Mumm-Ra seems to attack first look closer. He sends the mutants. He sends machines. He sends proxies. Because someone has entered his domain, threatened his existence, or disturbed the balance he maintained for millennia. On the surface, he was the aggressor. On the inside, every action was a response to an invasion he never asked for. And then there's Third Earth itself, the planet the ThunderCats claimed as their new home. The Burbles had lived there in peace for generations. The Wallows, the Bolkins, the warrior maidens, all of them had coexisted with Mumm-Ra long before any spaceship arrived from Thundera. And yes, they feared him. He was powerful and ancient and terrifying. He threatened them at times. He terrorized them when they crossed him, but he never wiped them out. He never conquered their villages. He never enslaved them. He existed in his pyramid, and they existed in theirs. An equilibrium that held for thousands of years, without intervention. And here's the detail that changes everything. The warrior maidens, who lived on Third Earth longer than anyone, never once encountered Mumm-Ra before the ThunderCats arrived. He never went near them. They knew of him, but they had no reason to fear him directly, because he stayed in his pyramid and left them alone. Then the ThunderCats arrived, and within days they built a fortress, Cat's Lair, a military installation bristling with weapons and technology no native of Third Earth had ever seen. The same Burbles, who had lived in peace for generations, were now helping build the very fortress that would drag them into an alien war. The ThunderCats declared themselves the protectors of the planet, protectors of people who never asked to be protected, from a threat that had coexisted with them for millennia without destroying them. And who exactly were they protecting these natives from? The being who had shared that planet with them since before any of them could remember. The being who could have annihilated them whenever he chose, and never did. The ThunderCats arrived on a world that was not theirs, identified the most powerful local presence as an enemy, and declared war on him in the name of people who had survived him just fine. The narrative writes itself, doesn't it? Brave heroes arrive on a new world, befriend the natives, and protect them from the local monster. It's the oldest story in human history. The only problem is that story has never been told from the monster's side. And here is where it becomes irreversibly clear. The ThunderCats lost their world, and they have every right to grieve that loss. No one disputes the tragedy of Mumm-Ra. But losing your home does not give you the right to take someone else's. The ThunderCats arrived as refugees, and within days they built an army, constructed a fortress, and declared ownership of a planet that was never theirs. The mutants lost their world too. Plundar was destroyed by the same war, and they brought that war with them, chasing the ThunderCats across the galaxy, turning Third Earth into a battlefield for a conflict that started on the other side of the universe. They didn't come for Third Earth, they came for the ThunderCats. Third Earth was just collateral damage in someone else's war. And Mumm-Ra, he never brought a war from anywhere. The war came to him. He was in his home, on his planet, one of the last original inhabitants of that world, tending to the existence he had maintained for thousands of years. And when two alien armies turned his world into a war zone, he became the villain. Not for starting anything, for refusing to leave. Think about it from his perspective for one moment. You have lived on the same planet for millennia. You have your home, your pyramid, your power, your routine. And then, one day, two fleets of alien soldiers crash into your world, build fortresses, wage battles across your landscape, disturb your sleep, trespass into your home, and then call you the enemy. Not because you attacked them, because you existed when they arrived. That is not the story of a villain. That is the story of a homeowner watching strangers break down his door and rename his house. If this video is making you question everything you believed about this show, you're not alone. Hit subscribe, because what comes next makes it even worse. Now, yes, there is one argument against all of this, and it deserves to be heard. Mumm-Ra serves the ancient spirits of evil. He draws his power from beings of pure malevolence. He is not innocent. He is not good. He is ancient and corrupted and bound to darkness. That is all true. But here is the question that changes the entire equation. Does serving evil make you wrong about who was there first? The ThunderCats serve good, and they still took a planet that wasn't theirs. Being good does not make you the owner of someone else's home. And there's something else. Something the show never addresses, but is impossible to ignore once you see it. Mumm-Ra was proud, viciously, destructively proud. The ancient spirits of evil themselves had to remind him more than once that his arrogance was the reason he kept losing. He could have driven the ThunderCats off Third Earth. He had the power, but his pride wouldn't let him accept help, wouldn't let him plan carefully, wouldn't let him see the ThunderCats as anything beneath his contempt. So, no, Mumm-Ra was not a hero. He was a tyrant who served dark forces and let his own ego destroy him. But being a tyrant and being an invader are two different things. And if a tyrant is standing in his own home when strangers break down the door, does that make the strangers heroes? Or does it make them something they never intended to become? The ThunderCats were heroes, but they were heroes who took possession of a world that already had an owner. And the tragedy of Mumm-Ra is not that he was evil, it's that he was right. He was there first. He didn't ask for any of this. And history, as it always does, was written by the winners. If this video made you see a side of Mumm-Ra you never noticed before, subscribe and drop your thoughts in the comments. We read all of them, and if you want us to do this for another 80s villain, leave the name below. See you there.